Passover may be over, but I am not. Because I really like matzo ball soup, okay? I don't just have it on Pesach. I like to have matzo ball soup whenever I feel like it. Often when I'm feeling blue, if I've had a really bad week or something, I just think that matzo ball soup is delicious and comforting. So I've learned a little recipe that I think came out pretty good. So we're gonna go over that today, okay? We're gonna make soup together. But first, let's roll the intro. All right. Hi there, my name is Shayna, and this is my channel. I talk about culture, Jewish themes and pop culture, and basically anything else I want to talk about. And if you don't like it, start your own channel. Okay, but please subscribe to my channel. Thank you, bye. Matzo ball soup. Something very simple. Somehow you take plain matzah, but you make it into these bowls, and somehow they're flavorful and delicious, and then in chicken broth or whatever broth you want, and then you can really put in whatever you want. You can do chicken, you can do, well, when it's not Passover, you could do noodles, and I don't know, just whatever you want. That's what I like about it. But we're gonna do a really simple one today, okay? It's just gonna be matzo balls and broth, and that's pretty much it. I don't feel like doing much else. The matzo balls are gonna take the most time, and we're gonna make them together. Now we're gonna use this box here, okay? Don't judge me. I've made it from scratch. Well, almost scratch. I bought plain matzah meal and I've made it that way. But I found that it's just kind of easier to find this box. I don't know. It's about the same effort. Anyway, we're not gonna follow this box quite the same, okay? It says here on the back somewhere that it's like Bubby's recipe, all right? This isn't gonna be Bubby's recipe. This is gonna be Shayna's recipe. But Shayna's recipe is good, okay? But just know the portions that we do, it might not quite match what's on the box. You could follow along, I don't know. Yeah, so let's step into the kitchen. We're gonna step away from my little nook. You know, my nook is very cute, very, very cozy. You like the wallpaper? Yeah, so we're gonna step into the kitchen and we're gonna make it together, okay? Now, I don't wanna get my fur dirty, so if you happen to see some other hands doing some of the work, just know that's my assistant, okay? Shayna doesn't wanna get her fur dirty. What? It's an understandable thing, come on. Okay, so here's what you're gonna need for this. Now, this is just for the balls, okay? The broth part's gonna be very easy. We'll go over that quickly, but we're gonna really just focus on the balls. All right, so here's what we're gonna need. We're gonna have a big bowl, and then we're gonna get some matzo ball mix, or, you know, just matzo meal, whatever you want. You can do the mix or you can do your own. It doesn't matter. We're gonna need a little bit of oil, whatever oil you want, really. I'm not picky about that. And then some kind of herb like parsley, dill, whatever floats your boat, okay? You're gonna need eggs for this. And then there's two ingredients that are very, very important, okay? One of them is schmaltz, or basically rendered chicken fat, okay? And then the other one that's important is seltzer water, okay? These are the two special ingredients. They're very important. The schmaltz is gonna add flavor. It's gonna kind of bring everything together. It's gonna help the balls stay in their shape. And then the seltzer water actually adds a little bit of light fluffiness, okay? A little airiness. So you got the schmaltz holding it together, and you got the seltzer water making it airy, okay? It goes together. Now, one thing we're not going to do is we're not going to add baking powder. The first year I ever made this, I was combining recipes. One of them said to use baking powder. I don't know. I was like, sure, okay, why not? And then I realized afterwards, oh yeah, baking powder is a leavening agent, and we're not supposed to be doing that on Passover, so don't tell anyone it was a mistake, my bad. Alright, so you can follow the directions on the box, but I'm actually just going to be using a little recipe I kind of came up with over the years. It's still not perfect. You can always just follow the directions on the box. I'm going to do a cup of matzah meal, and I know that's not a full cup, but later on off screen I add in the rest, okay? So a cup. Then we're going to add a little bit of salt. You can also add whatever other seasonings you want. This was a low sodium mix, so it's okay. There's a little more salt. Now, we're going to do 4 eggs. I like to make a big batch. If I'm going to go through this whole effort, then I might as well make a big batch, and then I can have matzo ball soup for days. So we're doing 4 eggs for this 1 cup of matzah. Alright, this part takes a while. I'm sorry. I don't know if I should speed it up. I just think, it's fun to watch the eggs crack, I guess. So here we go. Alright, so after we do the eggs, we're going to sprinkle in a little parsley, and then we're going to add oil. And this part I'm not sure about. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons. That might be too much since we're doing rendered chicken fat, but I don't know. I keep trying this one part out. It's a work in progress. So now at this stage, this is where I like to break the eggs, and then I stir everything together. I like to see how it all looks at this stage before I add the schmaltz and the seltzer water, okay? I like to be able to measure those parts, because honestly, I'm not measuring the schmaltz or the seltzer water, so I want to see what the meal looks like before I add those in. It's an art, it's not a science, we just kind of eyeball it. So that's how much schmaltz I'm using, okay? I don't really like measure it. You could probably use a little more than that, but since I added oil too, I just went a little lighter on it. We mix it in. And then the very last thing we do is the seltzer water, because you don't want to add too much. And again, I'm not measuring this, because what I want to do is add a little at a time and then stir it around and see how the meal looks. We don't want the meal to be too dry, but we don't want it runny and super wet. So that's why we add a little bit at a time. So I stir it around, and I can tell that I'm going to add a little bit more, because it's a little too thick. We want it just slightly more loose. So let's add a little bit more, and that's probably going to be enough. You see what I mean, though? It's hard to, measure it. You just got to try a little bit at a time. And yeah, so I think that this is going to be just the right consistency. Not runny, but, a little loose. Not all packed together too tightly and dry, okay? Now we're going to take plastic wrap, and we're going to cover this so it doesn't get too much air on it. I don't know. I read about that once. And then, we cover it up, and we're going to put it away in the fridge for, I don't know, a few hours, at least half an hour, a few hours. While that's in the fridge, here's how you're going to do the soup, or at least how I do it. I just buy chicken broth, okay? Don't judge me. And then I'm going to add an onion. You can really do whatever aromatics you want. You can do like a chicken, a rotisserie chicken, you can throw that in if you're not vegetarian. When it's not Passover, you could do pasta. I don't know, but I'm just going to do an onion. I'm keeping it simple. I'm just showing you how to make the matzo balls, basically. Okay, so here's a nice little action shot of me chopping up the onions. Well, not me, my assistant, but is that nice? You like the action there? Okay. So once the balls are ready, they've been sitting in the fridge, you're going to take 2 pots of water, because you don't want the balls to get crowded, and make sure that you add salt, okay? If you don't add salt, they're gonna not have enough flavor when they're done, all right? Just trust me on this. So you're going to wet your hands, you're going to roll the meal into balls. You can do whatever size you want. When I roll it at this size, they're pretty big balls. They're not humongous, but they're big, and you usually only need 1 per bowl of soup. Some people might like to make them really small, but I know this is just how I always end up rolling them. It ends up being about this size. It just feels right natural to me. And see, it's good that we have 2 pots. Otherwise, the matzah would be crowded. And sometimes you put a lid on, I don't know. As long as you're doing it for at least 20 minutes. That's what matters. And now, while those are cooking, you can just start on your soup. You start, the aromatics you can cook for a bit in a pot, and then you add in your broth, whether it's homemade or store-bought, doesn't really matter. Again, I'm just making this really simple for this video. It's a lot of effort, okay? I have to edit this whole thing. What do you expect from me? I'm doing store-bought, all right? So now, they've been boiling for at least 20 minutes, and this is kind of what they look like. They look like little baseballs. This one's a little flatter. Sometimes they're fluffier. It's not my best batch ever, but I think they still came out pretty good, all right? I think they're going to be tasty. So here they are. We're scooping them out. I put them on a plate so that they can cool. And here they are. Look at them. Don't they look nice? Not my best batch ever, but I think they still look pretty good. And I'll say when you store them separately from the broth so that they don't get soggy, okay? Pro tip. And then you just add in the broth, and look at that. Doesn't that look pretty good? Not bad. And there we have it. Doesn't that just look delicious? I bet you can smell it, okay? It came out perfect like it always does. And maybe you already knew how to make matzo ball soup, but if you did or you didn't, I hope that this is something that maybe you'll enjoy, okay? And even if you don't plan to make the soup, maybe you're a little sad that Passover's over. So here's a little bowl of Pesach, just a little bowl of Pesach, even though it's really over, okay? All right. Well, that's all I have. If you enjoyed this, please leave a comment, but only nice comments, okay? Nice comments only. And then please like the video and subscribe to my channel and hit the little icon and help my channel grow. I put in a lot of effort and I think you're great and you think I'm great, right? So let's help the channel grow, please? Okay. All right, bye.